That's always fun. A lot of counties, Tulare don't, but most counties, you gotta go out and show proficiency.
I'm on my 20th or so permits, so.
In there. Is the Fisher Times on?
Laptop there? Or?
It was spotted.
Good morning. Welcome this afternoon to the 1:30 special meeting of the Planning Commission. Hopefully everybody was able to sleep in late this morning, except for the staff. Let's see. Roll call, please.
Gong.
Here.
Millies.
Here.
Elliott.
Here.
Diaz.
Here.
Whitlatch.
Here.
Miliano. Here. Aguilar.
Here.
Stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's go to item 2, public comment. At this time, members of the public may comment on any items not appearing on the agenda. Under state laws, matters presented under this item cannot be discussed or acted upon by the Planning Commission at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public will be invited to make comments at the time the item comes up for Planning Commission consideration, so that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Any person addressing the Planning Commission may be limited at the discretion of the chair. At this time, please use the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Anybody wishing to make comments, public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. Item 3, approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes for October 28th, 2015. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Gong.
Yes.
Millies.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Diaz.
Yes.
Whitlatch.
Yes.
Miliano. Yes. Aguilar.
Yes.
And it's been approved. Now, item number 4, consent calendar. Action on this. All items of this action will be taken with one motion and vote. Unless anyone wishing to discuss any one of these items requests that it be pulled from consent calendar and held over for such discussion. This is an untimed item. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion that we approve a 2-year extension of time to June 12th, 2018 for tentative track map number TM 791.
Second that motion.
Have been seconded and moved. Roll call.
Gong.
Yes.
Millies.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Diaz.
Yes.
Whitlatch.
Yes.
Miliano.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
The consent calendar has been approved. Let's go to item number 5, partial public or map public hearing. Action on all partial maps in this section of the agenda will be heard in one public hearing unless anyone wishing to discuss any one of these items requests that it be pulled for a separate public hearing. No staff presentation will be given on any items unless requested. In any case, there will be a separate vote on each of these items. Is there any member of the board that wish to recluse themselves under 5A or 5B? Okay, anybody in the public wish to pull any of these items? Okay, seeing none, we're going to open the public comment. Anybody wishing to make public comments on these items? Again, seeing none, we're going to close public comments and we'll go to item 5A. This is to approve a category exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act and the state CEQA guideline pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to the new construction or conversion of a small structure and conditionally approved tentative partial map number PPM 15-025 and a waiver of the final map.
Make a motion that we approve tentative parcel map number PPM 15-025.
I'll second that.
Moved in second. Roll call, please.
Gong,
Yes.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Willach,
Yes.
Piliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
PPM 15025 has been approved. Moving on to item B, PPM 15033. This is to approve a category exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act and a state CEQA guideline pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to a limited number of new small facilities or structure, and conditionally approve tentative partial map number PPM 033 with requirements of a final map. Anybody wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve categorical exemption consistent with CEQA and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14, Cal Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to a limited number of new small facilities or structures, and conditionally approved tentative parcel map PPM 15-033 with a requirement of a final map.
Second that.
Before I make the roll call, do we need to open a public comment on this, or? Oh,
Already opened and closed that public.
okay, then roll call, please.
Gong,
Yes.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Willach,
Yes.
Piliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
APPM 15033 has been approved. Okay, let's go on to item 6. This is a public hearing. This is a special use permit number PSP 15021, Fresno MSA Limited Partnership, doing business as Verizon Wireless. Philip French, Executive Director of the network, and Jennifer Hightower.
Hightower.
Hightower, oh, okay.
Good afternoon, Chairman Commissioner Gahn and fellow commissioners. My name is Andrew Pacheco. I'm with the Tulare County RMA. We are here today to discuss the special use permit PSP 15-021 for Verizon New Communication Tower Facility, PSL number 28722. Woodville? Near Woodville? Thank you. Okay. Now, the tower location is located east of Woodville, north of Avenue 168. It's in the middle of a field. There are two parcels that the gentleman owns, Mr. Guerra. I have trouble with names. Anyway, the location right there is located in the center of the property. He's got a vacant spot that he's going to go ahead and allow the wireless communication tower to be located. Now, the tower is 150 feet. Excuse me. And this is a site. This was located, as you see, north of Avenue 168. This is the notification area, 300 feet within the property boundary of those two parcels. The zoning on the property is AE 40, and there are no other zones around there. The parcel itself is agricultural. It's all vineyards. That one spot that you see and located right in the center of the property is a vacant area that they utilize for farming operations such as packing raisins, putting bins, tractor supplies, things like that for the agricultural products. There are no dwellings on these two parcels. This is the site itself. As you can see, the property is about 160 acres. Each parcel is about 80 acres each. That site right there has been cleared out. There's no agricultural use on it other than the fact that they store their agricultural supplies. The tower is located on the site of the vacant site. As you can see, this is an area that they're utilizing, 30 by 50 feet. The tower is located on the south side of the vacant area. This is a more detailed area. This is the way the tower is. Now, the tower there is proposed not to have any camouflaging, for the fact is that it sticks up by itself. There are no trees around it. There's only flat agricultural, such as the grapevines. It would seem to be very odd in order for us to allow that to be camouflaged. It's probably better off to be recognized as a tower for safety reasons such as airplanes, crop dusting, whatever. This is the radius of the tower area, 5-mile radius. There's only one site, 2 sites that are within that tower where you can see those 2 little red dots that show other tower facilities. That little red circle around the site is the fall zone. Since there are no buildings there on the property, there's no worry about damage of any type of facilities other than the agricultural grapevines or landing on a road or anything of that nature. Now, the facility will be enclosed with an 8-foot high fence. It will have its own generator. There will be cabinets there, and there are a number of antennas that will be on there, and it will comply with the FCC. As you can see, this is a site where it's going to go right in the center. If you look on the right photo, you're looking at the area where the tower is going to be in the distance, and that's looking at from Avenue 168. The photo on the, the other way around. The photo on the left is where the tower is going to be in the center, and that's looking from Avenue 168. The right photo is a proposed easement where Verizon is going to have a 12-foot easement leading to the tower. Now, the proposed easement is there so it won't cross over the ditch because the ditch at that point crosses the road. This is the dirt road that goes all the way to the tower site. The left photo shows the leading road to the tower site. The right photo shows the edge of the tower site. As you can see, there are bends that's been utilized for agricultural storage, for raising production, and so on. If you look to the north, which is the left photo, you can see that there's no dwellings, there's no trees, there's only vineyards and so on. Now, if you look at that right photo, that's where the tower is actually going to go. Another photo where the tower was going to go. Once that area is cleared, it'll be fenced off and the tower facility will be placed there. Okay, there are no species of concern. No endangered species have been found on site. And then the gap map shows that the area there is for croplands and agricultural purposes. Now, recommendation is to approve the categorical exemption and conditionally approve the special use permit PSP 15-021. Okay, the alternatives would be to move the subject to modifications as discussed, move to deny, refer back to staff for further study and report. And that would conclude staff's report.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Anybody?
Thank you.
Go ahead. Did you have a comment or something? I thought hard to say.
Oh, no.
Okay. Anybody on the board wish to make any comments? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I open the public comment section. Anybody wishing to make comment, please give your name and your address for the records. Okay, seeing none.
I have one question just for the record. I think I know the answer to it, but I'd like to have the applicant answer.
Oh, is the applicant here? Is that
The
you?
applicant is here. She's sitting in the audience.
Yeah, why don't you
want.
come up? I think we have a question for you. Hopefully, it'll be simple. Yes, right there. And please give your name and address for our records, please.
Jennifer Hightower, 3126 W Street, Unit 2, Sacramento, California, 95817.
Ms. Hightower, just for the record, and I believe I know the answer on the deal, but this tower is not going to be harmful to any raptors that might decide to use it for a vantage point, will it?
Raptors?
Yeah, birds of prey?
If they land on the tower, we leave them alone, and we know that we're not to disturb them. So if they make nests, that we live with that.
Okay, and so there's nothing up there that's going to, there's not a microwave activity that's going to injure them?
It's FCC compliant, so all the equipment that we applied for, including the antennas, any microwave or associated equipment, complies with FCC guidelines.
Okay, I just needed that for the record. I kind of understood that, but I would imagine out there 150 feet in the air, right in the middle of a field like that, there can't be a better vantage point to sit in ambush.
Ed just want to make sure that no dinosaurs show up.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms.
Any other
Hightower.
comments?
Velociraptors.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Thank you. Hey, anybody else wishing to make any comments for or against the project? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment and open it up for discussion or motion.
I'll make the motion here that, and normally what we would probably have a discussion about camouflaging it, but I think Andrew's probably right on this one here. I think it'd be less, it's going to be less conspicuous to the way they have it designed than to try to make a 150-foot tree out of it. So, having said that, I would like to make a motion to approve a category exemption consistent with CEQA, and to conditionally approve the special use permit PSP 15-021.
Second that.
Moved in second, roll call, please.
Gong,
Yes.
Bailey's,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Juliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
A special use permit PSP 15-021 has been approved.
I just wanted to add a comment too, though, not just confined to trees. In Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, there's a 150-foot flag, American flag, flying on top of one. So just another thing to consider.
I've seen some of those here in California as well. I'll think of it.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item B. This is a special use permit number PSP 15-030, Scott Belknap and Mark Belknap. This is a general rule exemption and special use permit to allow an agricultural service establishment. It's a water well drilling and pump repair and installation on a 16-acre portion of a 31.82-acre site in the AE40 zone. The site is located on the west side of Road 76, approximately 1,200 feet south of Avenue 384, south of Dinuba. Contact is Dana.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gong, Commissioners. And as mentioned, this is a special use permit for a well drilling facility, water well. And this project was noticed according to the law, and staff has not received any comments regarding the project. As mentioned, it's located at 38193 Road 76 on the west side of Road 76, south of Dinuba. Scott Belknap is an established business in Tulare County, previously located in Dinuba, and is involved in several aspects of residential and irrigation wells, including but not limited to water well drilling and water pump repair and installation.
Question, Dana?
Yes.
Is this a second location, or is this a relocation of the
This is a
property?
relocation.
Okay, because I know they were north of town.
He previously was in Dinuba. And the site is zoned AE40, and all of the properties surrounding this site are zoned AE40, and they contain agriculture and rural residences. An aerial view of the site. Better aerial view of the site.
Excuse me, Dana, do you have, I was looking here, any, okay, never mind. I did find the aerial photograph to see where there's closest residential. We don't want to get back into that again.
I know. As you can see, the site is already being utilized for the requested well drilling facility and has been since at least 2008, when they began storing well drilling equipment and pipes on the subject site. Since that time, the intensity of use has increased, and the applicant was unaware that he needed a special use permit to operate a commercial facility in an agricultural zone. The owner came into the permit center in February of this year to acquire a building permit, and the subsequent investigation led to the submission of this use permit for an agricultural service establishment. There is not an active violation on the project site, as Mr. Belknap, is going through the proper procedures to acquire the use permit. And the property contains two 4,000 square foot roof-only structures for open storage, one 2,800 square foot shop building, one 12,000 square foot metal shop building for enclosed storage, which has handicap access, and there are other storage sheds on the property. In addition, there's a single-family residence which has a caretaker in residence, and there is a proposed 10,000 square foot building pending approval of this use permit. Also, there's agricultural production on the west 15 acres, and this kind of shows the other part of the property. It really extends across this way. If you can, I don't know if you can see that up there. Nope. Oh, there it is, kind of. Anyhow, the line does go across there. So, let me go back to there. As you can see, the west half contains agriculture. The company employs 45 persons, with 20 employees working regularly at the subject site. The other 25 employees report directly to the job site, which is in the field. Company trucks total 12, and the hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. However, the resolution for this project does not restrict the activities at the project site to these days and times. There are 16 designated parking spaces and additional off-street parking throughout the site. The type of equipment to be stored includes drill rigs, compressors, and pump hoists, all of which are utilized off-site where the job is being performed. There is no fabrication of parts taking place on the subject site. And the environmental determination is a general rule exemption consistent with CEQA. The project is consistent with this exemption because an initial study reviewed that or determined that the project would not have a significant effect on the environment. An entitlement is found in section 9.7 of the ordinance, which allows agricultural service establishments engaged in equipment repair and maintenance in the AE40 zone. And the project is consistent with these general plan policies. The project is located in the Rural Valley Lands Plan, and Valley Agriculture is its designation. And staff is recommending that your commission approve a general rule exemption consistent with CEQA and conditionally approve special use permit number PSP 15-030. That completes staff's report.
Comments? This is a public hearing. I'm opening the public comment section. Anyone wishing to make any comments regarding this project, here's your chance. Please come up. Seeing none, I guess I'll close the public comment. Entertain any motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve a general rule exception consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15061B3, general rule exemption, and conditionally approve the special use permit number PSP 15-030.
Second that motion.
Moving to second. Roll call, please.
Gong,
Yes.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Piliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
PSP 15030 have been passed.
Thank you.
Okay, we are moving on to item C, vesting tentatively track map number TM835. This is Self-Help Enterprises. A vesting tentative map for the phase development of a 26.4 acre into 89 single-family residential lot, 140 unit multi-family complex, a 0.56 acre park, and a remainder partial in the R3 multi-family residential zone. The site is located on the south side of Riggin Avenue, west of Road 76 in Goshen, and within the Goshen urban development boundary. Contact is Chuck. Oh, okay. Chuck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Chuck Przybilski, Planning Division from Resource Management Agency. As the Chairman mentioned, today we have vesting tentative map TM835. The applicant is Self-Help Enterprises. It's located south of Riggin Road, west of Road 76 in the community of Goshen. This project is pretty familiar to your Commission, as the Board of Supervisors And prior to the Board of Supervisors Planning Commission meeting, which approved a rezone of the property within the urban development boundary of Goshen from A1 to R3 on 29 acres. This is for the division of 26 acres into 3 phases with a 12-acre remainder. Document is a CEQA exemption and will help facilitate the construction of 100% affordable housing. There's a vicinity map located right there and next to the Visalia city limits. The aerial photo of the site is already adjacent to an existing self-help project that is completely built out, and you see the site just to the east of that. The project itself is for 89 single-family homes, approximately 140 multifamily homes, the park, ponding basin, and just to reiterate that Phase 4 and Phase 5, which I'll show you in the map, are not a part of this tentative map, but is a part and will be the remainder of the site, meaning they will have to come back to the Planning Commission for Phases 4 and 5. Some of the amenities for the site, they're going to have bioswales, frontage improvements, road improvements, curb gutter, sidewalk, and landscaping. Here is the tentative map itself, showing Phase 1 along Riggin Road, which is the multifamily site, and the ponding basin just to the west of the parcel. Phase 2 and 3 is the single-family residences, along with the park, and the grayed out area, which is Phase 4 and 5. That will be the remainder and not a part of this project. So it's just some notes. Conditions of approval that will require some funding mechanism for landscape, lighting, storm drainage, roads, and parks. As a part of the vesting tentative map, infrastructure plans are required prior to approval of the particular project. This map shows the grading and street sections that have been supplied by the applicant to conform with the vesting tentative map. I know these maps are kind of hard to see, but just kind of gets you an idea of the tentative map application. This is water and wastewater plans for the particular project. Water will be served by Cal Water, and wastewater will be served by the Goshen Community Service District. Another condition of approval, number 34, and landscaping will comply with the Tulare County Model Water Efficiency Landscape Ordinance. Signage and lighting, another map showing the level of detail in the vesting tentative map as opposed to a regular tentative map. General plan consistency, the project is within the urban development boundary of Goshen, which allows urban development. The site is residential. Staff is currently working on amending the Goshen community plan, and for that particular site, they are recommending mixed-use land use designation, and multifamily and single-family residential will be compatible with the new plan. Affordable housing. This is a 100% affordable housing project. Later project today, we have the housing element. As a part of the housing element, approximately the county would be required to plan for 2,500 low and very low income homes. As this project provides approximately 227 deed restricted homes, and this represents approximately 9% of the county's regional housing needs allocation for low and very low income homes. So this is a good project for the county. We've had discussions with the city of Visalia. The project was modified to exclude anything outside of the urban development boundary and outside of the sphere of influence. So that's why Phase 4 and 5 are not a part of the project anymore. The project, as such, being within the Goshen urban development boundary, is exempt from the memorandum of understanding with the city. And based on communication with the city of Visalia, there appears to be support for the particular project. Environmental document, the Board of Supervisors actually approved the categorical exemption during the zone change for this project in accordance with the regulations. And as a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, as this is a vesting map and not a regular subdivision map, it has to go to the Board of Supervisors. We recommend to you that you recommend the Board of Supervisors reaffirm the CAT exempt under 15332 and 15061 and approve the vesting tentative tract map number TM number 835. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is also here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Chuck, where's my bus stop?
At the bus stop? Oh, there have been discussions for a bus stop, but that with the city of Visalia, and I believe they're supposed to go nearer to the medical center, but one thing that they want is a light. And the medical center is to the east or to the west of this particular site. But for this site, there's no bus stop.
So the people are going to have to walk clear down to the medical center to get on the bus?
It's less than a quarter mile.
But we will have one there someday? Or?
Excuse me?
We're going to have a bus stop out there on Riggins Road somewhere, right?
Yeah, we're working with, like I said, the municipal service for Visalia to put one on, was it 72?
Yeah, on 72 in Reagan. Yes, we're working with them to put one through. And we're also working on grant funding to get that done as well.
So for the whole facility, because this is one facility with the western portion of Self-Help, they own all that property basically from 72 to 76. So
Right.
it'll all be one continuous site.
Okay. I'm looking at the map here. All right.
Okay, let me open the public comment on this section. If the applicant wishes to make any comments, please come on up. And it seems like you wanted to answer his question on the bus stop.
I'm sorry, I get excited when I start talking about bus stops. Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Betsy McGovern Garcia. I'm the Director of Real Estate Development for Self-Help Enterprises. I just want to start by thanking staff. They've done a tremendous job in moving this project forward, and we really appreciate it. I'm not going to rehash everything about the project because I've already been before you on this project one time, but just in regards to the transit stop, we are planning in January on applying for AHSC, which is the Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Grant Program. It is the cap and trade funding program that is being operated by the Strategic Growth Council. We're going to be partnering with the county and putting together an application to not only fund the affordable housing, but also the transportation improvements and some transportation programs. So we're planning on putting in all of the bike lanes, all of the sidewalks, and then putting in signalization at Road 72 in Riggin so that the city of Visalia Transit feels comfortable adding the bus stop right there immediately adjacent to the Family Health Care Network. As mentioned, it's less than a quarter mile. We'll be building out all of the sidewalks so that residents in our project and the existing residents in Goshen have easy accessibility and safe accessibility to that transit stop. We're also going to be looking at doing bike sharing, car sharing, and transit subsidies for our residents in the project. So it'll be a pretty robust offering of transportation services in the hopes that we can help our residents choose a mode shift to walking, biking, or utilizing public transportation.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody wishing to make additional public comment for this project, for and against this project? Seeing none, I guess we'll bring it back to the board for a recommendation.
All right. Of course, Self-Help's been a terrific partner, and so I'm real pleased to do. They're very cooperative, and yeah. So with that, then I'd be happy to make a motion that we approve and affirm the October 13th, 2015 decision made by the Board of Supervisors on resolution number 2015-855 approving a categorical exemption for vesting tentative tract map number 835 and recommending that the Board of Supervisors conditionally approve proposed vesting tentative tract map TM 835.
I'll second.
Second, roll call, please.
Gong,
Yes.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Willach,
Yes.
Kiliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
TM 835 has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the item that we really came here for. That's item D. This is the General Plan Amendment Number 2015D for Tulare County Housing Element, GPA 15003, and Senate Bill 244, Disadvantaged Community, GPA 15-013, County of Tulare. And I guess the contact is Chuck again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Again, Chuck Przybilski, Planning Division with Resource Management Agency. Today, before you, I have two general plan amendments before your commission. One is for the disadvantaged communities, SB 244, which must be approved prior to the housing element recommendation. And then the second one would be the Tulare County housing element. We were before your commission on September 23rd, and we kind of discussed briefly the housing element. So this should be pretty familiar to your commission. So the first thing we're going to go over briefly is the SB 244 disadvantaged communities. Every city and county is required to review and update the land use element to include an analysis of water, wastewater, stormwater drainage, and fire protection. Needs and deficiencies for each legacy community and incorporate policies that are relative to these communities. A disadvantaged community is a legacy community is one that has approximately 10 residents within a quarter mile of each other, and its statewide median is less than 80% of the median income, and established for over 50 years. And it must be due on or before the adoption of the next housing element. So briefly, the county has produced two large documents relating to SB 244, which is Action Program 9, which is on the disc that you received in the September 23rd meeting. So the first one is Action Program 9, which deals with the communities and hamlets. And then part 2 would deal with other legacy communities that are really very small, and they're not very big. Anyways, the two amendments to the land use policies that staff recommends for SB 244 is 7.20, which is encourage the extension, construction, or upgrading of services to identify disadvantaged legacy communities, and LU 7.21, which is promote the extension, construction, or upgrade of the facility for water, sewer, stormwater drainage, and structural fire. And I'll just skip down and identify funding mechanisms that would can make the extension, construction, or upgrade of the services financially feasible. Essentially, these documents, they identify deficiencies, they identify needs, and then they also identify funding mechanisms that the county can apply for to go after infrastructure improvements for all the legacy communities that are identified. Now, these two policies are the only general plan amendment that we're discussing here today. These two documents will be a part of SB 244, but because of the extensive data and the need to update it every year or more, they will not be any updating to these documents will not be considered a general plan amendment. A general plan amendment will not be required to update information contained in these two big reports. Essentially, that's what that bottom one says. Excuse me. All right, so switching gears here to the Tulare County housing element. What Velma just handed out to you was two letters that we received. One was from the Housing and Community Development Division of the state of California. This letter essentially says that once we adopt the housing element, they will certify it. So we're pretty much done with the state of California. This is an excerpt from the letter, so you can actually see this one. But going to the green area, the revised element will comply with state housing element law, and when the revised element is adopted and submitted to the department in accordance with Government Code 65-585. That's their post review. They have 90 days after we adopt it, essentially. This essentially says that they will certify it upon our adoption of the document. Second letter is from the Leadership Council. This is essentially a letter of support from Leadership Council, and they agree with HCD, and so our document can actually be certified. Tulare County Housing, now we'll go into what it actually is. It's one of the 7 mandated elements of the general plan. It has to be updated every 5 to 8 years. The Tulare County Association of Governments has chosen an 8-year cycle, so if we adopt it prior to December 31st, we'll go on the 8-year cycle also. And the purpose of the element, it determines the housing needs of the county. It establishes goals, objectives, policies, and programs for housing within the county. It assesses adequate sites of housing within the county. And it implements actions that encourage the construction of especially low and very low income housing. Public participation. We had a Housing Element Advisory Committee. We held 4 meetings with the advisory committee. They commented and reviewed every chapter of the element. And we had representatives of Self-Help, TCAG, the Building Industry, Leadership Council, Habitat for Humanity, and community members of ALPA. We also discussed the housing element at 9 community plan meetings. Pixley, Terabella, Ducor, Early Mart, Cutler, Rosie, Three Rivers, and Strathmore. There's probably about 20 more community plan meetings that we handed out flyers to, so this number can probably go up to over 30. It was all posted on the Housing Element webpage, and we distributed approximately 500 flyers, and we received 180 back, which is greater than 30%, which is pretty good. Moving on to implementation, this just shows some of the projects that the county has completed from the previous housing element. So we did the Action Program 9 document and the infrastructure analysis. We had several zone amendments that went before your commission. Permit streamlining, an example would this be the Self-Help project that went just before your commission, processed in a timely manner. We completed 4 or 5 community plans, or maybe it's up to 7 now, with 2 more community plans that went before the board today. The mixed-use overlay was adopted for those communities, and just a small example of some of the grants that we received for the housing element is the SGC Highway 99 corridor and the Disadvantaged Communities grant. With that, again, the Regional Housing Needs Assessment, the state gives us a large number of housing units we have to plan for. The current cycles from June 30th, 2014 to September 30th, 2023, approximately, they allocate to us over 7,000 units. We only permit about 200 a year, but that's what we have to plan for. And right now, the county has to allocate enough planned land to accommodate the Regional Housing Needs Assessment produced by TCAG. So the adequate sites assessment, saying how much land we actually have available for housing. We have to allocate enough for 7,881. The county has an excess capacity of 25,000 housing units and a planned capacity of 7,755 affordable units. So the state is really up on very low and low income housing units, and the county essentially has enough land for over 7,000 units for low and very low income. The problem, one of the great is the lack of infrastructure, is the limitation for providing affordable housing sites. So in the housing element, we had to identify what can actually be served versus what is actually available. Even with infrastructure capacity available, the county still has enough allocation for low and very low income housing units, about 3,000. So we still meet our low income criteria with the state. So referral, we essentially sent out 400 referral letters throughout the county in accordance with state law. That referral ended on October 15, 2015. The county prepared an initial study, negative declaration. The comment period ended on October 5th, and we received 1 comment letter from the city of Tulare. So going over the response to comments for this particular one, HCD submitted its comments. Staff revised the housing element to conform with their comments, and we received the letter of certification yesterday. Leadership Council provided their comments to them. We revised the housing element to satisfy those comments, and we received a letter of support from them also yesterday. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Bach regarding the city of Tulare.
If it pleases the Planning Commission, I am Aaron Bach, Chief Planner with the Tulare County RMA. I'm here to answer any questions and response to these comments is that we did put a memo that went with the agenda item and responded to each one of the comments from the city of Tulare. So with that, unless there's any questions from you, we'd like to reserve our time to respond to any future comments from the city of Tulare.
So before I go over the recommendation with the Planning Commission, I'd just like to thank a few people really quickly for preparing the housing element. Mike Washam, Aaron Bach, Hector Guerra, Dave Bryant, Eric Cohen, Sung Kwan, Susan Simon, Kira Firos, Ann Chapman, Lance Tolis, and Velma Kiros. They were all beneficial in preparing this document, which took over a year to prepare. And with that, the recommendation to your commission would be to open the public hearing, recommend to the Board of Supervisors to adopt the negative declaration for both projects. In a separate motion, recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt the amendment to the land use element for SB 244. In a separate motion, recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt the Tulare County housing element, close the public hearing, and then the final over-encompassing motion, you adopt everything together. With that, thank you for your consideration.
Okay, any comments up here? Otherwise, we're going to do step one, open to public comment. Anybody wishing to make any public comment, please step forward on. Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public comment?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet, okay.
We go right to the second bullet point, which would be to recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt the neg deck, the CEQA portion of the document.
I'll make that motion. GPA 15-010 and GPA 15-003, Tulare County housing element.
I'll second.
Second roll call, please.
Gong,
Yes.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Miliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
I'll make the next motion. Recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt an amendment to the land use element in compliance with the Senate Bill 244, Disadvantaged Communities GPA 15-010.
I'll second that as well.
Roll call, please.
Gong,
Yes.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Miliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Make the next motion. Recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt the Tulare County housing element GPA 15-003.
Roll call, please.
Gong,
Yes.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Miliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Before I close the public comment. Public comment is closed. So moving on to the final.
Make the final motion. After hearing all the items for the projects including GPA 2015D, recommend to the Board of Supervisors the full and inclusive adoption of the amendment to the land use element in compliance with Senate Bill 244, Disadvantaged Communities GPA 15-010, and Tulare County housing element GPA 15-003 as represented in items A through C as one general plan amendment, GPA 2015D, the fourth general plan amendment of 2015.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Gong,
Yes.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Miliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Hey,
Somebody's listening to this, and it's clear, it's basically what we did is adopted the last three things that we approved in one motion.
big enchilada
Thank
has
you.
been approved.
I
All right,
have
let's
a,
move on to item 7.
I'd like to ask a question. I mean, maybe I missed something in the past, but this is the first time I've really heard of the Leadership Council. Can you give me a quick summary who they are?
Leadership Council, many of the members of what was, still is, CRLA, have joined, I believe it's a newer foundation. So it's Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, and many of the attorneys that we deal with, the previous housing element round were with CRLA. So they've kind of shifted over to another.
Well, that's a nonprofit that's kind of a more regional in perspective or statewide?
They're statewide, yeah.
Okay. I know. I was curious about that.
I have another question here. How many total units are going to be in between the two projects with at Self-Help? And that's going to be my next question.
Well,
between
Betsy wants to answer that, but there's I think 89 single-family homes, and the first phase is multifamily.
But if you add the one that's
between
already there,
the first phases that are already built, you mean?
Yes.
Total?
So I don't really do math without my computer, but we have 89 single-family homes in the first phase also. And so we're looking at a total of approximately 180 total single-family homes that build out. We have 120 multifamily rental units in Goshen Village 1, which is just south of our previous 40 acres, and then Goshen Village 2, which is in the previous phase of development. And then we're looking at anywhere from 140 to 200 new affordable rental units in this round of development that we're doing. Fully acknowledge that that's a lot of rental units for the community of Goshen. We do anticipate down the road looking at potentially doing some senior housing or other types of special needs housing to offer some different housing types for the residents in Goshen and the surrounding communities.
So my next question to that is, do we run a risk of creating, and I don't want to sound negative, but because I really do like the self-help projects, but do we run a risk of creating a community of low income that people are going to regard that way? I mean, they're like isolated out there to me.
Well, let me address that. Actually, I believe that these projects will actually better the overall community of Goshen, which is already a disadvantaged community, and it's been neglected for a long time. And we're looking at economic development opportunities along the 99 corridor especially. And when companies are looking to put businesses in place that will help these communities, they look at number of rooftops and the people that are there. With these new developments, you're adding a lot more population, so it's more desirable for companies to locate. So it's a seed that will hopefully grow this, as well as getting the transportation aspects all in. That this should just make Goshen blossom. At least that's my personal feeling.
I've visited a lot of the self-help over the years, the last 20 years. And all their projects are shining stars. They make the people maintain them. So unlike some projects that they just forget about, they have standards, and they hold the folks who live there to those standards. They also do. I was president of Catholic Charities for years. And, you know, one of the things we found that the families that came to our shelter, and this is something that you do, is they have instruction for families, healthy families. You know, they teach people to send their kids to school, to bathe them, study, go to bed, you know, some basic skills that maybe all of us kind of take for granted, you know, and they help build families. So self-help is more than just building houses and maintaining the look. It's also about building families. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they continue to offer help to families, instruction. It's not like you have a choice. You have to go to these to live there. So.
Yes, thank you. And we really think that the combination of single family and multifamily together in the same project works well. We use our rental communities as recruitment for our single-family development, and part of our resident services, not only with the after-school program and healthy living and cooking opportunities, we also talk about financial planning, credit counseling, and home ownership preparedness. And so we work with our families in our rental communities to help prepare them for home ownership opportunities, which helps build equity and wealth for them and the ability to move up and stabilize their families and really achieve larger goal in terms of financial stability and some of those things. So we find that that creates good communities, and we also think the combination of the commercial development, the economic development, really is going to create a good, strong, healthy community out there. And we have some market rate housing that's being developed south of our subdivision, so there is a good balance of housing types out in that community.
Well, one of the people who, I'm not going to point out a name, but I've known her for years, 30 plus years. She's worked at Valhalla's, and she's the one that cleans the table. 2 years ago, thanks to self-help, her and her husband were able to have a new house. It's the first new house she ever had. These are people who work darn hard, but they have limited education and limited incomes, and so self-help gave them a house, and they take very good care of it. So.
I would just like to mention even a little bit that there is conventional housing going in south. SME Builders is building, but beyond that, as the Betty Drive interchange is made, we have a lot of commercial development opportunities at that interchange as that goes forward. And in addition, the Visalia schools, the Goshen children will be able to go to a brand new middle school starting next year. And when and if the new high school gets built for Visalia, they'll be going to the new high school as well. So there's a lot of pluses for Goshen right now.
I'd just like to add, I'm really excited to hear you say that maybe you will include senior housing out there, because there are a lot of senior people living in Goshen that have been there forever, and their homes are showing it. There's some very disadvantaged seniors living in Goshen. I think it's a great idea if you include that in that plan. It'd be very exciting to see.
Maybe we could find something for Wayne and I. We're in the 70s group,
How did you say that?
They're disadvantaged, too. I don't think you can build enough affordable housing. I know we have target quotas and that, but the strength of our future in Tulare County is to give our working people a better place to live and a shot at what we all believe is the American dream. And I don't think there's a better step up. I am a little concerned because so many of us boomers, are getting to the point now where we have to downsize, and we don't really have affordable senior situations in the communities of Tulare County where we want to relocate. And I know in Three Rivers, we're just chomping at the bits to get someone in there to bring some kind of development where our people who have always lived in Three Rivers can stay there and they don't have to move to Visalia or Exeter or somewhere like that. But I think really that this kind of balance in our housing approach makes it more viable to have the other kind of housing too. And in our businesses, we need to give the workers a good place to live. So it all works with raising the minimum wage a little bit and giving them a standard of living where they'll really have a future in Tulare County, and their kids will also consider living here when they're, after their education is completed or whatever they decide to do. So I really appreciate what self-help is doing. I'm just voting a little bit more for the senior projects.
Okay.
And just keep in mind, Wayne and I are war babies. That's before the boomers. So.
For yourself?
No.
Which war?
I would think one measure of success or failure would be the crime rate in those areas. So that's another way to measure. If you were concerned about these becoming ghettos, is that what you were referring to? That the crime rate would be fairly indicative of whether it's successful or not. And I don't know if those are higher crime rate areas once they're established or not.
They set high standards, and people police it themselves. They don't allow these kind of things to happen. If they happen, they take care of them. They have a lot of pride ownership. It's amazing. We're really not giving them a house. We're giving them a chance. And the folks we're getting the skills to maintain that and not lose it. So it's a real gift. So.
Okay, we're ready to move on to item 7 now that half the board knows where they're going to live in the future.
Mel's
Okay.
already there.
Let's go on to item 7, director's report.
Well, staff did not get to sleep in today. We were at the board right in this chambers this morning having the Terabella and Ducor community plans approved and adopted. So that occurred today. So we're moving these things forward. I know we've talked about how projects have been lined up like jetliners at LAX here, and we'll be busy continuing right up to the board to getting the housing element as well as self-help to the board on the 17th of November. We're moving forward on a number of fronts, and we've been primarily focused on these projects that you're looking at the last few weeks. Flood-wise,
yeah, last couple times I've mentioned that we've been preparing for the El Nino. We got our first rains here yesterday, and it wasn't a high-intensity storm, so no major damage to report. We did get about 9 inches of snow up at Camp Nelson, so our crews are working to clear the road there so that it can be opened when it's safe. So all I have in terms of the storm update.
I guess that's it.
I'd like to add something on the storm. In Three Rivers, a couple of these guys risked their lives last night coming up there. But it was we had 20 inches of snow above 9,000. That's quite a bit up above where we are, but that's a really good start. And also, that 1.2 or 1.4 inches of rain we had, you're not going to believe this, but the hills are green now. And I saw several cowboys walking around town with big grins on because they finally see some grass growing. So if you have a chance, come on up and take a look. It's beautiful
So the
this
bears
weekend.
still, my kids saw
The bears
photos
are
in the
still.
paper, and they're really-
Yeah, I got a call on the way here that there were 2 in front of the Riverview restaurant, and they were tag teaming this big oak tree and shaking the acorns down, and then they go down, eat all those, and go back up. And the people were around them. It looked like a scene out of Yellowstone, and they don't even look at the people. They're so busy chomping on the acorn. So it's a beautiful sight, and we still got the bears, and it's just something to behold, especially with the snow on the mountains. And I think they're going to be around a while because they're enjoying the food we're serving them. So
And
come
aren't
on.
you guys glad you went to Mammoth last weekend, huh? 2 weekends ago.
Yeah, we beat that snow by
Yes,
about
you
3 or
did.
4 days.
Yes,
So
you did.
it was really nice, and it was gorgeous up there too. But they got a ton. So
Yeah, they got a lot of snow.
Mammoth got quite a bit, and they're happy. And it's amazing the disposition of people, how much it changes when it rains. You almost forget a rain like that because that was a nice cold winter storm, and it felt good. And we in Tulare County got a really good soaking compared to a lot of places. So we can be thankful. I know on the way here I passed a sign that said, "Pray for rain" on the 198, and I guess it worked.
And they did.
It worked. So we got some, and there's more coming. So just be patient. Public
Well, we
Works.
like it if they just roll in
Yeah.
twice a week.
Soak up a
That'd be
little
nice.
and
That would be nice.
fill that underground storage, and
It's climate change.
it's really nice to have it return to a little bit of a semblance of normal. That's great.
Let's move on to item 8, Planning Commission discussion for future items. Any?
I think we only have 2 more meetings for the year, and the December meeting, we vote for the next chairperson, right?
November 18th, you'll vote.
November 18th, okay. And
November
also that we'll approve the calendar for next year,
Yes,
too?
November 18th, that's right.
Who's our next chair?
Been that
Whoa.
way.
I'm going to be very careful what I say.
Yes, you have to be very careful.
Okay, let's move on to item 9, adjournment of the meeting. We'll see you November 18, 2015 at 9 o'clock.